debate, a lot of members of the House have focused on what the Prime Minister said. Of course, that's appropriate. It's the debate on the Prime Minister's statement. But I'm not going to focus on the Prime Minister because, as my colleague Chris Farfoy said, 22 pages to say absolutely nothing whatsoever. No, I'm going to focus on one of the true acolytes of the National Party, David Bennett. Because last night, David Bennett managed to say in 10 words what the Prime Minister couldn't bring himself to say in 22 pages. David Bennett said this. You can check the Hansard, go and have a look. It's what he said. The government is not there to make your life better. That's what David Bennett said, and it's fantastic that we've finally got a National Party member who is prepared to tell the truth about what this government's agenda is. I'll say it again. Mr. Bennett said the government is not there to make your life better. And ain't that the truth, Mr. Speaker? Because we've seen cuts to frontline health services. We've seen cuts to early childhood education. And if I could just pause on that for a moment. The Minister says, if you're not happy, change centres. If your early childhood centre where you send your kids is putting their fees up because the government has cut their funding, then change centres. Well, guess what? The parents of kids who are going to kindy, who are going to those childhood centres, they send them to a particular centre because it's part of their community or it's close to where they work. They don't want to have to change centres. They shouldn't have to go to the other side. Oh, the Minister just shakes her head nonchalantly as this is no big deal, no problem. So what the Minister says is she is not there for the parents of children in kindy or early childhood centres. She would prefer them to have to go to the other side of town if they are not satisfied because their centre has had to put the charges up because she has decided to cut the funding. We've seen increased GST. We've seen the government let unemployment go through the roof. They have no plan to grow the economy. They have no plan for jobs. They have no plan for manufacturing. They have no plan for clean technology. They have no plan for New Zealand's future. Why? Because David Bennett is right, the government is not there to make your life better. What they have done is they have created public debt. Net public debt was zero when they came into office. They have let that skyrocket too. And why have they done that? Because they want to sell our state-owned assets. That's why they have let that debt get out of control, because this government wants to sell off assets that belong to every New Zealander. And John Key got up and said that the reason he is doing that is because we need to take ownership of our future. I think the Prime Minister has been hanging out with Prince William a bit too much because he's clearly using the royal we, because it is only people like John Key who will be able to take ownership of New Zealand's future if we continue to sell off our state assets. John Key's message to hard-working New Zealanders is simply this: the national-led government is not working for you. Who are they working for? Well, they're working for the tiny number of people who have the most, those with millions of dollars in the bank who receive interest hand over fist because they got the tax cuts. John Key got $1,000 a week in tax cuts. They are working for the foreign banks and the finance companies. They will be the ones who get to buy shares in our state-owned assets. They will be the ones who take over ACC. They will be the ones who sell us health insurance because this government won't take its responsibility seriously and will refuse to provide proper health care, because this government is certainly not there for people who need proper health care. It should not cost a parent in New Zealand 20% of their weekly budget just to take their child to the doctor after hours. But those parents are not a priority to this government. The cost of going to your GP, no matter what time of day it is, should not be going up, but it is. That means it's harder for everybody to go and see their doctor. Everyone except, of course, the very few who this government is working for. While wages went up 1.7% last year, GP fees increased by 6.5% in 2009, and they went up again in October last year when National's GST hike kicked in. But that doesn't matter, because this government is not there to make your life better. David Bennett said so. Hard-working Kiwi families know that the government isn't working for them. This government is working for someone else. The government is planning to cut $750 million from health over the next 4 years. That means cuts to the services that hard-working Kiwis rely on. It means that hard-working New Zealanders will not get the treatment that they need. And what will the National Party say then, if they're still in charge? They'd say this: healthcare's in crisis. We need to privatise, privatise, privatise. And won't the insurance industry just be licking their lips at that idea, just as they were when Merrill Lynch told them to expect a $200 million a year windfall when National privatises ACC. That's who this government is working for. You know, in healthcare, there is a test coming up very soon for this government. We're negotiating a free trade agreement, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and there are a number of American pharmaceutical companies who are putting the pressure on to make sure that the cost of medicines in New Zealand goes up. Who will the government go into bat for? Will it be New Zealanders? Will it be New Zealanders? Will it be hard-working Kiwis who appreciate the fact that getting pharmaceuticals in this country is inexpensive, that we have Pharmac that has provided the cheapest medicines anywhere in the world? Or will it be the overseas corporations? Will it be Big Pharma? Is that who the government is going to go into bat for? Yep. That is a huge question, and people will be asking that as we get closer to those negotiations, because the track record from this government is not good. If you are in need of health care, your costs have gone up and your services have been depleted. If you are a parent who has a child in early childhood education, your costs have gone up and the quality is going down. You're facing higher prices at the supermarket. There's a greater chance that you have lost your job. There is no plan. There is no plan. That is why I am getting constituents come into my office, like the two who came in last week. One who has just completed her teaching qualifications, who has applied for 25 teaching jobs and has been turned down for every single one. She is not lazy. She is not sitting on her backside at home. She is out there working extremely hard to try and find a job, but there are none. But what is the government's message for her? We're not working for you. You are lazy. That is why you do not have a job. That is the government's message to people like her. I met another gentleman who was made redundant last year. He gets no support from the government. He is out there working hard to try and find a job, but he feels labelled and stigmatised by this government because they are not working for him either. This government is not working for New Zealanders. It is working for someone else. And it is about time that they came clean. It is about time we heard more people like David Bennett get up and tell it like it really is. Here are his words again. The government is not there to make your life better. And that is true. The government is working for foreign finance companies, for foreign landowners, for insurance companies, for people who have the very, very most, the tiny, tiny percentage in this country who have the very, very most. They are working for their mates. This government needs to maybe take a leaf out of the opposition's book, who are going to invest in skills development. We are going to support New Zealanders to make the most of themselves. We are going to invest in early childhood education. We are going to make sure that healthcare services are available for everybody, accessible for everybody, and that they are of the very highest quality. Mr. Speaker, New Zealanders need to know that the national-led government is not working for them, it is working for someone else. They need a government that is working for them, and that is a Labour government.
Michael Woodhouse.